Hi guys, Jessica Carter here, and I am going to start out with this ham sandwich thing. So you've probably noticed that I talk a pretty lot about strengths. I could probably talk about strengths more. You've probably heard of the company Gallup, and mostly they're known for doing polls. So the Gallup poll, this, that, whatever. And they've also come up with strengths. And this is from years and years and years of collecting data. And you can take the strengths test. And I think it's so super cool. Guys, I can see a couple people are on here, but it's not telling me who. If you're watching live, can you put a 1? And if you're watching the recording, if you could put a 2 and say hey to me so I think I can see it pop up if you say hey to me and I'll say hey back. So you can take this test. And it's not really a test. It's like a kind of like a personality test. And I love personality tests, but I kept finding that they were kind of putting me in a box. And if you know me, I don't really fit in a box. And I think most people don't fit in a box. And so I would take a test and they would be like, are you a triangle? Are you a square? Are you a circle? Are you a squiggle? And more than likely, I would highly relate to about 3/4 of them, depending on, 3/4 is pretty accurate, whether there's a bunch of things or 4 things. 3 of those I would highly relate to. And 1, I was just like, no, I know that's not me. But I can really see myself in a lot of things. And I take another test, that keeps happening and keeps happening. And the super, super cool thing about strengths is they lay out your strengths, and there's 34 of them, and you can see it 1 to 34. And no one who's ever lived, no one who's living now, and no one who will ever live will have the same exact 34 strengths in the 34 order, in that order, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So there's not another you. They're not trying to put you in a box. And what's really coming clear to me, I don't know why so much this year, maybe because I'm diving into strengths, that a lot of the leadership books that I'm reading, I'm like, oh, hey, Meredith, I can see that you popped on. A lot of the leadership books that I'm reading, I can tell their strengths. I'm like, oh, they're saying that because this is their strength, but that's not me. And so I'm just wondering how many people are out there. Hey, Rachel, how are you? I'm just wondering how many people are out there who are reading leadership books and maybe even thinking I'm not going to be a good leader because I don't see myself in that tip. I don't see myself in that chapter. Like, that just doesn't even sound like me. And I don't know, I feel like it just kind of hit me this week that I've had I've had several people say to me, especially, in regards to my business, I want to be you. Can I just be you? And for years, I was just like, oh, that's so flattering. Yeah, come be me. And I taught people how to do my business the way I do my business. And it turns out they weren't me. I mean, obviously we knew that. And that's okay. They should, oh, Rachel, I'm here to help. I should have figured out how to teach them how to do it to be authentic to themselves. And that's where I am now in my leadership journey, is helping people find themselves, exactly them, no one else, and doing things their way. So I have an example because I don't know, because I've studied it so much, I'm almost not sure that makes any sense to anybody. So the ham sandwich. So we have these 34 strengths, and we should try to stay in our top 10, 11, 12-ish. And we should really try to stay out of our bottom 5. Our bottom 5 is when we're like grabbing a box of cookies or whatever. Cheese dip. Mine's cheese dip. If I call my husband and I'm like, bring home cheese dip, I'm in my bottom 5, and not just talking about like in a diet way, but I've like sunk down to a spot where I'm just gonna eat some cheese dip and stay in that bottom 5 for a little while, which I think is fine actually. But then you want to pull yourself out. So wherever you're in that dark place and you have that, I don't know why food tends to show up. So I'm not really like judging food. I'm just saying that tends to be a signal. You're like, oh my gosh, I grabbed this whole pack of Oreos. That's not mine, or brownies or whatever. Or maybe it's just like I stayed in bed all day and there was a Netflix. Nothing's wrong with that. But that might be a little signal that you've dropped into those bottom 5. Go ahead and stay in there for a full day. That's fine. But then be like, how can I pull myself out of that and go back to my top 10? So in leadership books, hey, Caitlin, they almost are, even mindfulness. So I'm in mindfulness and I'm in yoga. They're all like, be in the present moment. Don't think about the past. Don't think about the future. Only think about the present moment. Well, guess what? That strength is called adaptability, and that's in my bottom 5. So when I'm reading all these things, and it's big in yoga and mindfulness. It's also pretty big in leadership, honestly. Then I get down on myself because I'm like, oh, I need to be in the present moment. I need to be in the present moment. And the way that I do that is gratitude. So if I feel like I've gone too far forward or too far back, I just think about things I'm grateful for right in this moment. And that's a pretty place for me to be. So adaptability is people exceptionally talented in adaptability prefer to go with the flow. They tend to be now people who take things as they come and discover the future one day at a time. I'm a here and now person. I will react immediately to the immediate. I bring a willingness to follow the lead of change. I need present pressures that demand immediate response. I love spontaneity. I hate predictability. My metaphor is, like a river, I go with the flow. Guys, if that's you, that's awesome. Like, I want to celebrate you. But that's not me. This is not me. It's in my bottom 5. And so if I try to do that, then I kind of beat myself up for not being this perfect, adaptable person. So in a business sense, if somebody came to me and was like, oh, I want to do this business and I want to do it just like you, I'd be like, hey, how about you do it just like you, and that'll be even better. And so if I saw adaptability was in their top 10, we would talk more about, we're not going to script what happens to you. When someone comes to you, they're going to have their unique problems, and you're going to be able to adapt and help them with whatever comes to them. You're just going to let each person take you down a path, and it's going to be exciting every time, and you're going to just help them with whatever they need and build this beautiful relationship with them and be exactly what they need. And I can tell people how to do that because I have little cheat sheets, which is awesome. But I don't tell them how to do it the way that I would. So here's another one. People, a lot of mindfulness and a lot of leadership books say don't live in the past. So that in strengths is, yeah, Caitlin, I'm futuristic and I relate to you in that I'm going to do that one next. So I hear you. Actually, Caitlin and I have a lot of strengths the same. So we communicate well with each other. So context. These are people who do well in thinking about the past. People especially talented in the context theme enjoy thinking about the past. They understand the present by researching its history. I am appreciative of my predecessors in prior events. I will remember important history. I bring accurate memories and valuable memorabilia. I need relevant background for discussions and decisions. I love the retrospective. I hate when the past is forgotten, and their metaphor is rearview mirror is essential for safe driving. I think that's beautiful. It's just not me. And a lot of time, context is also in my bottom 5. So I'm being very vulnerable right now. So a lot of people who have past trauma, context is probably going to be low for them because it comes with hurt and it comes with pain. And sometimes, a lot of times when we come from hurt and pain, we tend to be reactionary, or we tend to protect ourselves, and we're not really being authentic to ourselves when we're either being reactionary or being protective of ourselves. So someone who wants to do this business and is strong, has a top 10 in context, looking back allows them to move forward with greater wisdom and confidence. So they really understand that Caitlin and I are a lot alike. Some people, some history should never repeat itself, but how do you know if you don't study it? But some should repeat itself. And they are just so amazing at looking back at their past and being like, oh, I learned this from that situation, and I'm going to apply it to this situation right now, which is awesome and beautiful. And I can show people how to do that if they have it in their top 10, even though it's in my bottom 5 because of my wonderful cheat sheets. And now futuristic. And then you've probably heard this. I hear it over and over again. Be in the present. Don't think too much of the future. And I know people that causes them great stress when they're all about thinking in the future. But I love thinking about the future. And it's funny, even before I got into strengths, I would reward myself with daydreaming time. So I'm like, okay, I would do this. Like, okay, if you get this, and this done, you can go for a hike and just daydream about whatever you want to think of. And I have great, wonderful ideas hiking and paddleboarding and in the shower. Like, I think about the future and these great ideas come to me. And that's futuristic. And all these leadership books and mindfulness books are saying, be in the present, be in the present, be in the present. But that's not me, and that's okay. So for futuristic, people exceptionally talented in the futuristic theme are inspired by the future and what could be. They energize others with their visions of the future. I am fascinated with tomorrow. I will anticipate and imagine what could be. I bring previews, predictions, and forecasts. I need opportunities to talk about the foreseen future. I love the inspiration that comes from dreaming, like for realsies. I hate contentment with the status quo. You've probably talked about it. I won't get into that. And my metaphor is just like visionary. I feel like I was going to say something else. So if someone came to the business, and for me, I really take the time to imagine what I want to accomplish. I might help by starting each day with thinking about the future. I don't let myself do that. I make myself earn that. And that's because I have high executing strengths. But every day I try to let myself have that time to just daydream and think about the future. And then imagine time has passed and you've achieved your goal. Think about what you did to get there. And I've always done that. I've seen kind of like step by step how I've gotten there. And as long as I can see all the steps to getting there, I'm like, yes, I can do that. Even when I was like 6 years old, my grandma was teaching me how to dive. And I just picture myself doing it. And she's like, what are you doing? And I was like, I pictured myself doing the dive. And she was like, what did she say? It wasn't leaders. It was like successful people do that. And I was like, and that really stuck with me because obviously I was like 6. So I was like, I don't know what that means, but successful people, that sounds good. So like 6-year-old you just did your strengths before anybody told you that wasn't appropriate, which I think is, super interesting. So if we're doing things in our bottom 5 because a book told us to, or a mentor told us to, or society told us to, it's like taking a hammer and trying to do it with a ham sandwich. And it's going to make a mess. And once we make a mess, we're going to go grab some Oreos, and the nail's still going to be sticking there. And we're going to think things like, I can't do this. I wasn't made to do this. Other people were made to do this, but it's not me. But the truth is we can all achieve our goals in the way that we authentically should achieve our goals. And I I just really want to help people see that. So the things that I'm learning are from Eddie Villa, and he's the king of this. So if like this is super interesting, I can help you up to a point, and I'm learning more every day. But I definitely would like try to turn you on to Eddie Villa so you can learn. But basically, you take this test and you're going to see your color-coded top domains. And there's really 4 types of people. And I think you can find yourselves in more than one of these. So I feel like I'm high in 3 and super low in the 4th one, like everything else. But the difference is I wasn't put in that box. I'm uniquely me, which is awesome, awesome, awesome. So, maybe you're primary a relationship builder and you just want to connect with people with no agenda and just build relationships. Guys, this business that I do is a relationship business. It's all about linking arms with the right people and building those relationships, building that team. Maybe you're a primary influencer, which is a different word right now. So we're not talking about people who have like 30,000 followers on Instagram. That's not really the thing. So influencers want to connect with people where they are, see where they want to go, and then show them how to get there. Where you are, where do you want to go? Let me help you get there. And every time they help somebody hit a goal, they're like, whoa, they're like jazzed and pumped. And then like both of you are like super pumped because you hit your goal. And then both of you are like, what's your next goal? And you're like, yeah, I'm going to do it. So maybe that sounds like you. All right, there are executors. So, which always sounds like an execution to me, but these are people who like to get things done. And so executing people are, they connect with people and then help them get things done step by step. So these are list people, mental lists. You make a list, you check them off a list, you make a new list and check those things off a list. And so when you're helping people like that, you'd be like, what are your, top 3 health goals? Here's a list of how you can achieve those. And then there's strategic thinkers. And so just think about big thinkers. And they just love to learn about everything and they like to think about everything. And so when they connect with people, it's all about learning about them, almost like they're reading their book of life or reading their book of, what do you want from life? And it's another beautiful, beautiful place to be. And so, I am in this place in this business, and it's a kind of great place to be. Because I've achieved goals, so I'm financially secure. I'm just so grateful, and I feel so blessed for that. And I have this time freedom, even more than normal because of COVID. But even before that, my day was my own, and I could set my own schedule and travel when I want and do what I want. That was just so important to me. But so where I am in my journey now is to show others how to do that if they want to do that. And this isn't for everybody, but it can be in their health. Like, I don't want to be in pain anymore. I want to make it where I don't get those things that my parents and my grandparents got. It can be in finances. It can be with time. And I'm really looking for people who want to be authentically themselves and achieve their goals, whatever their goals are. It's so cool to be in a place in my business where I don't have to really have goals for myself, except that my goals are to help other people. It's just a beautiful goal place to be. And so I'm here to support people who want to have better health, who want to have financial freedom, who want to have time freedom, and they want to get these things in a way that's authentically themselves. Not the way I got here, not the way other people got here, but the way they can get here and be in their strengths. So the essential oil that we're talking about today is bergamot, because it's the oil of self-acceptance. Bergamot relieves feelings of self-judgment. It supports individuals in need of self-acceptance. It invites individuals to see life with more optimism. It awakens the soul to hope and offers courage to share the inner self. Bergamot teaches individuals to let go of self-judgment by learning to love themselves unconditionally. So if you're ready to love yourself unconditionally, if you're ready to be authentically you, if you're ready to go for your health goals, go for financial goals, go for time freedom goals, message me or comment below and we'll have a quick chat. And if it doesn't sound like you'd like to team up with me to, achieve these goals, no hard feelings, because I'm really here to find those people that I can help. And if I can't help you, that's not going to hurt my feelings. I'll just keep looking for those people that I can help. So message me, comment below. If you watch this live, if you would put a 1. If you watch the recording, if you would put a 2, I'd really appreciate it. Bye, guys.